Welcome to another edition of Small Talk for You. This morning I wanted to go through a little thing in ObjectStudio, and that's a little interface here I built where I have this drop-down menu and I have some items. What I'd like is when I select something here, it shows up in some other widget on the screen. I knew how to do this in VisualWorks, obviously. It's not terribly difficult to do in ObjectStudio either. It's just that the mechanism's a little different, and I thought I'd walk through it in case you're new to ObjectStudio and it's something you'd like to be able to do. So I have my widget here, and I have the other widget here. What I'd like to do is link these two up that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Controller Events. And I'm going to say the options list drop down on changed index. I want to specify an event receiver, and that's going to be this class, which is this guy I've got here. You can see this in the browser there, so I'm specifying that. And I want the messages to be either an existing one, or I can say I want to write the method here. So it's going to be a new method, and it'll give me that new method here. I'm just going to leave this guy blank because I just want it to be created. So I'm going to go ahead and say save it, and I'll hit OK. And that should mostly do it. So let's go ahead and check. So Controller, Events, and we have our options list, changed index, test UI, and now we have this method. But what I didn't do is I didn't move it over here. So you have to remember to do that last step, move it over there to the left. So after doing the save, I had to do that last piece. And now at this point, when I go ahead and do this, it's going to save. Now this is also a little funky. I go here and close this. Save changes yes to the package. Otherwise it goes to the old file out mechanism. So I'm going to say yes. And now, if I go back to the browser, you'll see there's a new method here. So it's going to be put into method. So there it is. And for now, what we're going to do is we're just going to put in a halt. Let's just make sure it gets called. So we'll hit Control S. And now we'll open this guy up, and we'll select something there. And there's our breakpoint. So we're in there with our halt, and we can fix this right in here. So let's go down here, and we'll say options, or option rather, put value, and we'll say, what's the arg? Is that the index? So it's the index. So what we'll do is we'll say options list get value, which since we're in the debugger, we can go ahead and inspect. And sure enough, that gives us the value 3, which is what we want. So we'll go ahead and say that. So we'll hit Control S. We'll go ahead and run it. And sure enough, the 3 shows up down there. So it all works pretty much the way we want. It just is a little different in terms of the walkthrough. It's all tied into the GUI tools. You can't really do it in code the same way you would do it in VisualWorks, or at least you can, but it's not as inherently obvious how to do it that way. It's all tied into the GUI tools, and you just set it up the way I just walked through. So not terribly difficult, just something to remember. And if you're working in ObjectStudio and you've come from VisualWorks, it's going to be something that's a little different. So that's about it for today. Until next time, have fun with whatever small talk you're using.